Hey everybody, it's Badger back, and we have another video today on the 720. We have to put an exhaust on it because it is stupid loud right now and we need to fix that. It's not a pleasant place to sit when it's super rumbly and echoing up underneath the truck bed and just crazy loud. It's not a hot rod. It's not fast. It doesn't need to be loud. It's not going to be quiet even when we put one on because it's not going to be, but we need to bring the noise down a little bit so it's not obnoxious to drive around. And something tells me this is not going to be just as straightforward as take two bolts out, throw a cap back on, to put two bolts in because, well, the previous exhaust that was on the truck, which I believe is the stock one, well, it literally we have missing half an exhaust right now, but the bolts and the brackets and everything, the flanges that are all up there and together look super rusted, and I have a feeling it's going to require a little bit more work than just unbolting. So we're going to dive into it, see what we can take apart, and see how easy this is or isn't to install.
To start things out, we needed to see what we were working with by removing the excess dirt and rust from the nuts, bolts, and bracket that helped hold the two sides of the exhaust together. As you can see, the exhaust back half is completely gone at this point and was never a part of the truck when I purchased it. Next, we sprayed some penetrating oil onto the nuts and bolts to see if we could get through any of the 34 years of rust that are probably going to cause us a few problems.
So we got to the point where we were starting to get some rounded edges on these bolts because they're so old and they're so seized. So when you get a rounded bolt, you got to get this special sockets out that they grab as they turn so they can grab the bolt and hopefully unscrew it when they're stripped. Well, unfortunately, they're just so incredibly seized up, as you can see, that the bolt broke with it. And so that bracket that has the welded on bolt side, that obviously has half the bolt missing now because it's stuck in the actual nut. So we're gonna have to replace that, and that should be fine. We're just gonna have to get that out somehow now, and it's also stuck now in the socket. So, all right, so we got it out. Obviously with a little bit of hammering, you can see the teeth marks from the actual socket just into that bolt. So these are super good for rounded off bolts or super old rusty ones that aren't gonna come off. You can't get a grip on it with your sockets or just any wrenches or anything. So super handy. I'll throw a link in the description to a set like this because these are kind of a must-have for anything that's old and has some rust on it. All right, so we got the bolts off. They're both off now. This one we obviously needed to Dremel off and cut it off. It was not coming off. Nothing was working on that one. Here's what we have left over. This is the bracket that holds the exhaust in place. You can see the backside is still obviously attached. It's rusted. We'll break that off. Then we'll still use the bracket because the whole bracket holds the exhaust to the car. But you can see there's two welds on both sides. So I'm going to have to cut those or drill those out so we can just put our own new bolts through these to hold the two exhausts together while it holds on to this, support. So pretty simple. Luckily that just simple bolt came off in a flash. Now it's just a matter of getting this prepped and worked on.
There you have it. We have the exhaust on the pickup. Things are much more civilized. It was way too loud previously. It's not quiet now by any means. That would be a term I would not use to describe this, but it's just a lot more manageable. I can hear the radio now in my music, which is obviously a benefit. So this is definitely a check it off kind of thing where we got the job done. Took a little bit more than maybe expected at first with the way that things were seized into place, and you know, rusty bolts and nuts are going to do that, but luckily we have the tools to get the job done with a bit of hammering and dremmeling and stripping and cutting and all that fun stuff. But things are taken care of, and we can move on to the next project, which will be the truck bed. And we are going to get that prepped and sanded and ready and everything for the bed liner that we will be spraying in ourselves, which is going to save us a ton of money. Probably is going to make it look damn near brand new, is my guess too. And that's going to be a huge benefit. Just in terms of the looks that we're going for, and just the first thing that really feels fresh and new when we are, you know, looking at the progression of the pickup over time. So make sure you're subscribed, turn that bell on, leave a like on this video if you would. That helps me out and it makes me feel good inside. If you don't, then don't. That's fine too. It's up to you. Other than that, I'll see all you guys in the next video. I love it when people walk by super creepily. What's that guy sitting by his truck talking to his phone? A little weirdo. Huh. As long as they're 6 feet away.